Bonjour. Oui. Merci. Now, you must be wondering why I'm using French. Well, today I am covering a French band, so I thought I'd have a little fun there. But yeah, hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy, Matt Diazable, coming at you with a new music review. Thank you for coming on by. Merci, merci, merci. Today, I am checking out a band called Regress 86 with their latest album called Primitive Stomp. If you've never heard about this band, Regress 86 is a punk hardcore band based out of Paris, France. And they're a relatively new band. This is their first album that they've ever put out. And I think they've been around for probably like less than a year. The way they describe themselves is they are a very, primitive style punk band that it takes influences from Circle Jerks, SSD, a lot of stuff from the 80s and early 90s. And what's really interesting and particularly cool about this album that they just released, it was all recorded in one sitting because they wanted to like capture that raw, live setting and have a lot of imperfections to give it that human touch. And you definitely can hear a lot of that, which is kind of cool. And then also lyrically, they kind of like are having fun / being kind of serious with this band, talking about political issues, tech companies in Silicon Valley, and just raw emotions that are brought up in the punk and hardcore scene. So it's pretty interesting that this band is making some fun but also very insightful music. And I discovered this band because one of the members messaged me for a review, and I'm always super stoked to help bands get their band music out there. So thank you for hitting me up, and yeah, let's talk more about Regress 86. And with a name called Primitive Stomp, this album is really delivering on that because it's very blunt, raw, and just stomping you with unfiltered energy from the underground punk and hardcore scene from Paris, France. It's an album that definitely leans into, heavy distortion, blown out bass sounds, and very political sharp lyricism with no interest in being polished or perfect. And I think, just how the band describes themselves, they really did a good job of capturing that, unpolished, imperfection, DIY style punk sound here. And while that DIY grit is part of its charm, it also becomes, one of its biggest obstacles. From the opening moments of this album, it's clear that the record doesn't really care about subtlety. The bass is a constant, distorted presence, sometimes crushing in a very good way, but then sometimes it can be quite overwhelming. On songs like, Tinfoil Fools and Startup Nation, the bass just completely swallows the mix, making it really hard to appreciate the drums and the guitar work underneath. So I want to play a small clip of Tinfoil Fools so you get a sense of just how large and distorted the bass is. They're doing a really good job of channeling that old DIY style punkness for sure, but it's a little rough. But when the distortion is kind of pulled back a little bit, like on the songs I Can't and Mutant Future, the band sounds tighter, they sound more balanced, and they just have a more impactful feel. So I want to play a clip of Mutant Future so you can see what the band sounds like when they pull back on the distortion a little bit. It kind of feels like you can hear the drums a little bit more, which makes me want to comment on the production here. And I gotta say, it's a very rough mix in terms of like the sound quality of the music. It sounds very thick like molasses, like it's a very muffled sound. There's a raw charm here for sure. It feels live, it feels urgent, it feels feral, but it also makes it feel like the record can be very muddy and a little bit claustrophobic. That being said, when the band does find their groove, particularly on the song The Struggle, it is genuinely infectious. That track in particular, it balances out aggression and rhythm very well here, delivering a very powerful message about labor and dignity while, having riffs that actually breathe. So I want to play a clip of the struggle for you so you get a sense of just how the band can potentially sound really good when they get locked in and have good groove in production. There's something there. It's pretty good. Lyrically, Primitive Stomp is quite smart and direct with their words. They're tackling things from, capitalism on Startup Nation, toxic politics with Useful Idiots, and even fascism with a song called Walter Sobchak. I think I mispronounced that. With a kind of, righteous anger punk thrives on. And there's surprisingly a lot of nuance here, like on the song Pit Mongos, where they kind of flip expectations by, celebrating pit culture by being, known to be very violent, but actually being a very safe space for people to have to let their aggression out and just, come together in camaraderie. It's a very interesting take on something you would think wouldn't be kind of the norm. Even when the vocals get lost in the mix, the message still cuts through nicely. And what's really impressive is how the band is able to write lyrics that are both, socially conscious and also very genuinely relatable. They're quite refreshing. They're just honestly refreshing. Like on the song I Can't, it expresses just everyday frustrations in a way that is just very personal and not really performative. You can feel the lyrics. You can feel the just anger bubbling underneath because you can put yourself in those shoes when you hear these lyrics. And I would say the album ends on a really strong note here with the song Moral Line. The cleaner vocals, the fast drums, and the tighter guitar work really show what Regress 86 is capable of doing when the mix doesn't really get in the way. It's a kind of a closer where, it makes you want more from the band, but also makes you wish the production and everything had a little bit more clarity to it, because you can see this band could be really, really more interesting if they just had a cleaner sound. And Primitive Stomp from Regress 86 is an album that, really wears its flaws on with pride. It's messy, it's angry, and it's raw, but also it's very passionate, it's very thoughtful, and the very last thing, it's very real. And Regret 86 might not be, chasing perfect production here, but they're clearly chasing the truth. And it's in this regard, it just makes the record hit even harder. It might not be for everyone, but especially those who really want more of a modern production in terms of their hardcore sound. But if you're into heavy bass driven music, distorted chaos, and politically sharp punk with a very caveman stomp to it, Primitive Stomp is definitely worth a spin. But just maybe don't do it with headphones on full blast. So, little warning there. But overall, I would say this newest album from Regress 86, Primitive Stomp, I would give it a good and okay 6.5 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think about this album. Tell me some other recommendations. I would really appreciate it. And like always, merci, merci. And until next time, see you in the pit.